Good morning. Craig Howard here. Happy to be with you this morning. Some people get the idea that freedom means that we basically are free to do whatever we want under any circumstances in any situation. That because we consider ourselves a free country, that means that we have the right to say anything, do anything, or go anywhere or treat anyone the way we want to. That freedom means I have total freedom, total reliance, or total ability to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Some people get the idea that freedom means there's a total absence of constraints of any kind. But I want you to think for a minute. Take a fish, for example. Um, if that fish decides it wants to be free from the river or the lake or the ocean and swims as hard as it can and flies out of the water and lands on the beach or on the shore or on the bank, um, it can flip and flop around. It won't get very far because it's not created to move on the land. And before long, it will die because its gills are designed to take air out of the water, not to breathe air that doesn't keep its gills wet. And so pretty soon its gills dry out, it's not able to transfer air, and it dies. If it doesn't follow the guidelines, if it doesn't follow the parameters or the constraints for which it was created, then it actually loses its freedom instead of maintaining its freedom. The same is true with an airplane or a bird. If a bird decides, I want to fly today, it may be flying along and let's say its wings get tired. And it says, I'm going to fly without my wings right now. It just tucks its wings in and doesn't use its wings. Before long, it finds itself falling. Very quickly, it finds itself falling, and it doesn't succeed in flying. If an airplane decides that if the pilot says, I'm just going to use the wings today, I'm not going to use the rudder or the tail, pretty soon it finds out very quickly it can't steer, it can't guide itself, it can't control its attitude and altitude. And very quickly, because it's not following the constraints that it was created under, because it's not following the guidelines it's created under, instead of gaining more freedom, it actually loses the freedom that it had because it's not living within the parameters that for which it was created. And the same is true of people. God created us to have a lot of freedom. But that freedom is built around certain guidelines that say these are the boundaries. Because if you move outside of these boundaries, you weren't created for that, and you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to be in trouble, and it's going to create problems for you. The Bible says over in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12, Paul makes this statement. I'm sorry about the reflection from my tablet, but it says, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. In other words, Paul says, I may have the right to do it, but if I do it, that thing that I think I want to do, that thing that I say I want to step out and do that and move outside of the parameters that God has set for me, pretty soon that thing masters us. I guess what I'm saying today is take a look at your life. Have you stepped outside of the parameters? Have you stepped outside of the boundaries that God has set? Have you moved into an area either in the way that you treat other people, or in the things that you do, or in the entertainment that you're involved in, or in the list goes on and on. Even the language that you use. Pretty soon that thing that you think of is freedom, and that area that you've stepped into that you think, well, I have the freedom to do this, pretty soon, if you're not careful, that thing masters you. You have the freedom to shoot heroin into your veins, but before long that'll become your master. You have the freedom to drink alcohol, but pretty soon, if you're not careful, that can become your master. I don't know how many people I've talked to that said, I started smoking whenever I was just a young man or a young woman. And now it's controlled me, it's mastered me. And it's one of the hardest addictions in the world to break. We have to be careful in moving outside of the boundaries of what God says is best for us. It's a dangerous place to go. And while we may have the freedom to do it, while we may have the freedom to move into areas of sin, we have to understand that we do so at our own peril, because God had a reason for setting those boundaries, and that was to protect us. You have a good day today. Snowy day out today is going to make it difficult, so if you have to be out on the roads, be careful. I want to thank people who have responded to my call for the need for help for the coronavirus clinic. They're willing to volunteer to help out in the parking lot. I could still use a few more. I think I've got 4 teams set up so far, and maybe am working on a 5th, but I would love to have about 8 teams set up so that one team only has to work about every 2 months. So if you're willing to help, I'd love to hear from you. You can message me on Facebook, and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Send me your phone number if possible. All right. You take care. Have a great day. God bless you. Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow.